Good evening and welcome to the Brew Club. I'm Mike Pittman, and joining us as usual, our resident home brew master. It's Ken Reddy from Brewery Lane in Mount Pearl, and tonight we've got something a little different for you. Normally when we think of home brewing, I guess, Ken, we think of beer and wine.
Right.
And tonight we've got a product that you brought up from your store. It's called Cooler Quik. What exactly is it?
Well, Cooler Quiks are something new to the market just this year, Mike. They produce coolers, 6% alcohol coolers in a variety of flavors, and they're ready in about 10 to 14 days. So they've went over really big this summer.
So this is a cooler like I would buy in a liquor store, like I guess people tend to be switching to it from beer now to the coolers?
Yeah,
or?
Sure, like your wild berry cooler, your peach cooler, tropical punch, all kinds.
Is it more of a summer drink, or?
Yeah, it's a
like
summer
it
drink,
round,
but
yeah.
I guess, you know, it's seasonal, and I guess at Christmas time it could be quite popular also.
Yeah. So would this be the only brand, or are there others that available that I could get?
These guys also make some essence that you can produce wine coolers with. These here are an alcohol-based cooler.
Okay, so that'd be like the, how does it compare to, say, like the vodka coolers or the rum coolers that we get in the stores?
Yes, those are these
similar?
ones are similar to the.
Okay, well, I guess we should get right to it, because we're going to make a batch of this tonight, and we'll bring in a batch that we've already got prepared to bottle it in the second half of the show. So we'll do it start to finish, I guess, tonight, won't we?
Yes. All right.
Okay, well, let's get started. We open up the box. There's not much in here. Obviously, our instructions.
Right.
Very needed. And a bottle of tropical punch. This is the flavor we're going to make?
That's the flavor, yes. Okay. That's the essence pack.
And this is, what's in this?
Well, it's just a tropical punch flavoring. That's basically that's all it is. This is what gives it its flavor after we've made the neutral-based alcohol.
Sounds like it's pretty easy to make.
They are. They're quite simple to do, take very little time and effort, and they produce really good results.
More instructions. Let's see, we've got a bunch of little packages here now, and they all have different numbers, so we'll start with the lower. Which one should we start with? I've got yeast, number 3.
Yes, yeast, that goes in initially in our first stage, okay? Yeast, you need yeast, obviously. Yeast, sugar, and alcohol through yeast, sugar, and nutrients produce alcohol.
Yeast Energizer.
Actually, that package there, Mike, they haven't marked yeast energizer, but it's actually a sweetener that goes in prior to.
Oh, really?
Yes, we've called a manufacturer on it, and he told us that this is actually a sweetener. And it's
sort of mislabeled,
yes,
I guess, is it?
Yes.
DAP is the only thing marked on this.
That is some yeast energizer, okay? It just helps give it a good vigorous fermentation. And this is nutrient, which is basically food for the yeast.
And yeast nutrient. Boy, yeast needs a lot of help, it seems, when you're making coolers, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, why don't we get started? We've got some water on the boil here. What's the first thing that we need to do? Obviously, we've gathered some of our equipment together. What are we going to use?
Okay, first of all, we need to sterilize everything, which we've done. We have everything pre-sterilized here. We prefer to use a 12-liter carboy, 13-liter carboy to make this. This is what I produced, by the way, about 12 liters.
Yeah.
Okay? What I've done here for ease, I've pre-measured 20 cups of cold water. Okay? So we just add that to our carboy.
Cold water.
Yes.
Now, this is the distilled water that we use, the same as for beer and our wines?
Yes.
And again, I guess because it will lessen the effect of the taste. No chlorine, no nothing like that.
Exactly.
No impurities in the water. You get rid of all of that.
So we just pour that in like so. Now, you have to boil about 2 liters of water. Okay.
2 liters of water, and we've got some.
We've got that on the stove boiling. Now, Mike, a little change that I like to make to the recipe.
Here we go, the change.
All
right.
It just makes things a little easier. They tell you to add your hot water and then add your sugar, but I like to add the sugar to the water first, dissolve it, and then put it in.
What difference does that make?
Well, it just makes the sugar a little easier to dissolve. That's all. It just makes things a little
rather
easier.
than pouring the sugar through a funnel into the carboy.
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess we should keep this boiling then. I turn that off. Let's keep it going. We're going to mix that up.
We're going to mix that up again.
Okay.
Just add it slowly and stir it in.
And stir it in. Okay. Is this slow enough?
Yeah, that's good. As
It
long as
dissolves pretty quickly. I guess
Yes.
corn sugar will dissolve a little quicker.
it does
won't
dissolve a lot easier
Okay,
in boiling water, obviously.
Put it there.
Hold that spoon there for you.
Yeah, we had about 2 liters of water in here, and that's it. All seems to be
By the way,
dissolved quite nicely.
the recipe calls for 5 cups of corn sugar, or excuse me, 5 cups of table sugar, or 6 cups of corn sugar. So we
That's a kilogram?
Yes.
Roughly
yeah.
6 cups?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what we've used here. About 6 cups.
So
All
that's
right.
fully dissolved there. So this just makes it a lot easier than
Okay.
trying to pour the sugar
So
in.
what do we do now? We just take this and
And we'll just
pour
pour
it
it
in?
right into our carboy.
Okay.
I'll stand back out of your way there.
See if I can do this without injuring anybody. And that's it.
And we're just going to give that a stir now, just to
Okay.
churn it up good. Just rinse off our spoon here first.
So you say we end up with about 12 liters.
Yes, approximately 12 liters.
Okay. And this is the 13-liter carboy, so there's obviously some more stuff to add here?
Yes, we've had that about another 20 cups of water, actually. Just going to give that a stir.
So does temperature make a big difference, or?
Yeah, we want to get our
Oh, it's
temperature
still-
around 75 degrees. And as
Right.
you've probably noticed, I have a thermometer. There we go.
Okay.
Stuck on the outside of the carboy. These are digital strips, and they're pretty easy to read.
Okay, yeah, it's reading about, it looks like it's going up where we've added the hot water. It's up
Yeah.
around 84 right now.
Yeah, so we have to add some more cold water,
Right.
so that's going to bring things down for us.
Okay.
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 Now,
These packets, is there any particular order these have to be added in, or?
well, we're going to add our nutrients and that now. We'll just check our instructions. It's always good
Okay.
to just read your instructions to make sure you're not missing any. So now we have to add packet 5 and 6 to the carboy. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll
5.
open those up. While you're doing that, Mike, I'm going to get some more of our
Okay.
distilled water.
All right. And as I said, we're going to bring in a kit that we made earlier, sometime earlier. What, last week sometime, Ken?
Yeah, about a week ago, Mike.
Okay, and that's ready for bottling.
That's ready for bottling.
So this has to sit pretty much like your beer and wine does. Are there any intermediate steps? Is there anything we have to do in that 7 days?
No, we just got to make sure it's at room temperature.
Right.
Keep an eye on it. Make sure everything's working okay. It's fermenting well and everything else.
Okay. And packet number 6, you said, the yeast nutrient?
Yes.
Okay.
And just give those a stir then, Mike.
All right. It seems slightly less complicated than making the beer or the wine kits.
Yeah, these kits are really easy to do.
Okay. We pour that in, and we give it a stir. Tropical punch. We're on in the fall, so it's probably, if this is what you like for a summer drink, how long would we be able to keep this?
The shelf life of most of these drinks are probably 6 months or so,
Yeah.
if they're stored properly in a cool, dark place. Okay.
Okay.
So there we go. We just
Top it
top
up.
it up now. Some more water. We're going to give it another stir. That should just about do it, Mike.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to stir it again. It's a good idea to churn it up good.
Yeah.
Get some oxygen into it because, again, yeast also need oxygen for healthy
Right.
growth.
Okay.
And you want to check our temperature here, see if it's
temperature.
close to where we're looking for?
Looks like it's a little warm yet.
A little warm, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What are we reading there?
It looks like it's above 86, actually.
Is that right?
Yep. So it's sort of, it's gone off the scale of this thermometer.
Okay, so what we're going to have to do is just let this cool a little. What we'll do now, we'll just attach our airlock, let it cool a little, and once the temperature gets down to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, we'll just sprinkle our yeast in the top.
That's this
and let it
packet?
go. Yes.
And you just sprinkle on top. No need to mix it in? or
No,
anything
no,
like
there's
that?
no need to mix it in.
Okay.
Make sure now that you that you attach the airlock to it. And if you want to try to get it cooled down quickly, you can probably lay it in a sink of cold water or something, or a bucket, and just put some cold water and even some ice cubes around.
That won't affect the final product or anything, to forcing it to cool down? Like
No, the quicker you can get it cooled down, the better it is.
Okay. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to bring in some finished product. And I guess we're going to add the extract, or the fruit punch extract, and we'll show you how to bottle your very own tropical fruit punch. Don't go away. We'll be right back in about 1 minute. Welcome back to the Brew Club. We're back, and you'll notice that we've got, this is actually a second carboy. It's not the same one. The cooler Quik kit that we made has been replaced with one that's been sitting for about how long?
This particular one here has been sitting for 7 days, Mike.
7 days.
Yeah, usually they're fully fermented in 7 to 10 days. What you want to do is make sure you no longer see any activity in your airlock. If you have a hydrometer, check your specific gravity. Make sure it's at 1,000 or below.
1,000 or below?
Yes.
Okay, and we're siphoning this off now into a bucket to prepare it for bottling, is that right?
Yes. What we have to do now is add our sweetener and our tropical punch extract and some priming sugar.
Okay. So is it the same for all the different flavors? The only difference in the stuff being the extract that we add?
Yes, exactly. All the kits produce a neutral-based alcohol of about 6%.
Right.
Okay, and then you can flavor it.
Okay, which is roughly the same as, or a little higher than what your beers would be.
Yeah, a little higher than what your beers would be. But
the one thing I've noticed about this, Ken, is that it's, as I knock down a bottle, is that it's cleared up quite a bit. It doesn't seem to be as foggy, I guess, as it was
exactly.
when we started out.
Yeah, what happens once it's finished fermenting, the yeast cells drop off as a sediment to the bottom, and as you can see, it becomes crystal clear.
Quite clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the way it should be, Mike. If your kit hasn't cleared up, leave it for another day or two. Okay, because the clearer you can have the kit, the better quality cooler you're going to have.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So is there anything I should be doing, or we're just waiting for this to siphon off now?
We're just waiting for this to siphon off now, and it's taking a little longer than we anticipated. But
and again, I mentioned before that this was more or less a summer thing, but I guess with the holidays coming up, it's good to have stuff like this around for guests and friends and things like that. It's not a bad. It's a nice alternative, I guess, to a beer.
It is, yeah. And a lot of people today like a cooler. You know, they're quite refreshing, actually.
And how many different flavors would there be?
This particular kit, I think there's about 10, Mike. Yeah. 10 to 12 different flavors.
So what would some of the other ones be? Like a tropical punch?
We have a tropical punch. We have a kiwi. We have peach, wild berry, citrus and vodka, lemonade and vodka, dark rum and
so
vodka.
Just about to suit any kind of taste, I guess, would be appropriate. Okay. I guess we've still got.
We've got our
an envelope here.
Yep.
What is it? This is the sweetener.
Yep. What we do with that now, Mike, is we'll add that to our. We have 3/4 of a cup of water here. Okay, warm water.
Okay.
We're going to
just go ahead and add this.
Just add that to it.
Okay.
While we're waiting for this to be finished.
Sure.
What you have to do with this sweetener, Mike, is add it to taste. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you have your cooler prepared.
Yeah.
Add this sweetener to it, stir it in. Try about half at first, because some people like their coolers a little sweeter than others. Yeah. If you add it all, it may be too sweet, okay?
Okay, so just add it all in here now.
Yeah, just add it all in there now, sure, and just give it a little stir in with our trusty plastic spoon.
Okay.
And that just about does it for our siphoning. We've got that done.
Yeah, this stuff.
Okay.
It's all dissolved in there now.
All right. So we want to get our bucket up on the counter now and just show the folks at home.
I'll move these out of the way.
What we have here. Okay, Mike, again, this is quite simple to do. All we have to do now is, you want to do the stirring or shall I?
Sure, I'll do the stirring. Why not?
We'll add our tropical punch extract to the whole batch. Stir it in there.
Yes, it's turning quite red quite fast.
Yes. Yeah. Has a great aroma to it too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does actually. It'll be good cold.
Yes.
It'll be good cold.
And what we do there next, Mike, is we're going to add our sweetener.
Add the sweetener.
Like I say, we're gonna use about half of it, okay?
Right.
Just try that.
Just to see how we like it.
Yeah, and we can get a glass there.
We'll glass.
Just take off
Watch
a little
our spoon
sample
going crazy.
and
Okay.
just try some. So you just
Okay.
hand over the other glass there, and we'll both have a little sip.
Oh, you want some too, do you?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
There you go. And just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's still a little dry, isn't it?
Yep.
So we'll just add a little more sweetener to it,
I'm not gonna. Just about
and I think that should do it.
give that a shot.
Like I say, Mike, most folks find
Yeah.
that if you add it all, it's a bit too much. Okay?
Yeah. It can be too sweet, I guess.
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Now, so we have 3/4 a cup of sugar here. We're going to add that to it. This is priming it, called priming it. What has to happen now, in order for this to be a carbonated beverage, it has to start fermenting again in the bottles to produce CO2.
Okay, so that's not going to. Is that going to affect the sweetness? We've just
No,
added?
no. The sugar or the sweetener we just added is an artificial sweetener.
Okay.
Okay, it's not fermentable by natural means, by yeast.
Okay.
The sugar we're going to add now is fermentable by yeast. What will happen? It'll start fermenting in the bottles. CO2 will be produced.
Okay.
And this will carbonate our beverage for us.
Fabulous.
Okay. So we'll just
Okay,
add our
I guess
sugar.
I'll get that stirring. Huh?
Pour it in there slowly to make sure it gets fully dissolved.
Yeah. The good thing about corn sugars, and no matter, instead of the granulated sugar, I guess that some people would use.
Yeah, it's quite easy to dissolve.
Yeah,
Very fermentable. So,
that looks like it's all dissolved in there quite nicely.
okay, sir.
Now we're ready to bottle.
Now we're ready to bottle. So again, we
Okay.
get our bottle filler,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get our siphon set up here.
Okay. We'll get one on the go. We've rinsed and we've rinsed and sterilized
Yes.
these bottles as well as the caps.
Again, we can't emphasize enough how you've got to sterilize everything. Okay, anything that comes in contact with any coolers or wines or beers you're making, make sure you sterilize it well.
Okay. And while you're cleaning out the tubes and everything there and the bottle filler, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back in just 1 minute, and we'll get some of these filled up, and we'll have our cooler Quik all done. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Brew Club. I'm Mike Pittman, and this is Ken Reddy from Brewery Lane in Mount Pearl. And Ken, we're ready to bottle our cooler kit.
Ready to go, Mike.
Ready to go. We've brought along some bottles. These aren't your ordinary-looking beer bottles or Coke bottles or anything like that. What have you brought along?
Well, those are just special bottles we bring in for our coolers, Mike. They're a plastic 355 ml bottle. They have a plastic pet cap on them to seal tightly. Okay.
Yeah.
So they work well with carbonated beverages.
And so these are available at the store?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes.
A couple of questions about this. This looks like the regular type Coke bottle, plastic Coke bottle or Pepsi bottle that we would get in a convenience store.
Right.
Caps look the same. If someone wanted to collect them at home and use those instead of buying new bottles every time or recycling new bottles or something like that, is that feasible? They can do that as well? That's not a problem?
Sure they can, yeah. The only thing you want to watch if you're putting it in 2-liter bottles, once you open the bottle, where it's a carbonated beverage, it'll go still on your flat. So you just want to, if you can bottle it in smaller bottles, it's much more advantageous.
A little more time consuming, I guess, at this stage of the process, but you get a lot better use of the product, I guess, in the end, in the final analysis.
And by the way, Mike, these bottles are reusable and caps to seal.
These are?
Yes. So,
Okay.
So, you can do your own recycling at home.
Okay. Interesting looking shape, too.
Yes.
The sterilizing, we've gone through, and obviously we've sterilized these.
Yes,
And we've gone through the whole process of that. This is the finished product right here, and it's ready to bottle.
It's ready to bottle. Yep.
Okay, so we've got about 12 liters of
Got about
cooler
12.
Quik here now.
12 liters, so we should get somewhere around 33, 35 bottles of finished product.
Okay, well, what's the first thing we should do?
Well, we've got our siphon all set up there. We got our bottle filler on.
Okay. I'm going to step over here and take a look at how you do this. Is this pretty much the same as you'd bottle your wines or bottle your beers? Or
Yes.
it's pretty much the same process?
There's not much difference to it, Mike. What I like to do, I put some cold water in the hose first to start our siphon.
To start this. Oh, okay.
This just creates a vacuum and gets our product flow.
Okay.
So what we'll do is just toss out the first of it.
Okay. I'll toss
And
it up for you.
we'll get another bottle on to go.
Perfect. We use this bottle again?
Yeah, sure, there's nothing wrong with that, that's all.
It's just cold water, is that right?
Yes. So you want to hand me some more bottles there, Mike?
Sure. I guess once you get started, it goes quickly, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So what you do, Mike, just fill your bottle right to the top. Mm-hmm. And when you haul out your automatic bottle filler,
right,
the displacement of the bottle filler will give you the proper headspace in your bottles.
Okay. That's a great little device, that bottle filler. It saves you from having to have a clamp on the hose, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And it fills from the bottom, too, which is kind of important, because when you've got a finished product, you want to try to minimize the amount of oxygen that it comes in contact with. So by filling from the bottom, instead of letting it fall into the bottle and splash, helps. As you can see, it's quite simple to do.
It is so easy, yeah.
It's a good idea too, Mike, as you're filling your bottles, just lay your cap on top.
Okay. I've got your other caps up here.
Okay.
There you go.
And with the bottle filler, you can stop any time. It's great like that.
Okay. We've only got 2 more here. We should...
We got plenty there. We have a lot of people asking us about filtering. Should they filter these products?
Yeah, because you normally would filter a wine kit or a beer kit.
Well,
we didn't do that with this.
No. Wines, it's okay to filter because they're not a carbonated beverage. Okay, so by filtering, you basically strip what yeast cells are left in the wine out.
Right.
With beers and with these coolers, they're a carbonated beverage, so we're naturally carbonating them. What that means is that the yeast cells that are left in suspension react with the sugar that you add to it, and it becomes carbonated. So if you filtered it, your product wouldn't carbonate.
Okay. Speaking of carbonation, one of the things that we've heard from people who bottle their own beer, I guess would be the product, and dealing with these bottles. They get exploding bottles sometimes. Now, I guess as they get more experienced in doing it, it happens less and less. Or if it's done right, I guess it wouldn't happen at all. Any danger of that with these these type products?
The main reason why you get exploding bottles, Mike, there's 2 reasons why it can happen. One is that your product wasn't fully carbonated or fully fermented before you bottled it. In other words, you didn't check your specific gravity to make sure that fermentation has been completed.
Right.
Another reason is adding too much sugar at bottling time. Okay. So it's very important that you add the proper amount of sugar, which the kit manufacturer tells you.
Right.
And you make sure that your fermentation is complete before you...
So we would use our hydrometer that we used when we took the measurements for our wine kits and things like that? The same thing?
Exactly.
And it should be at under 1,000?
Should be 1,000 or below, yes.
Okay, fabulous. So we've got got our first half a dozen or so bottles there on the go. I should, before we close the show tonight, I should, I guess, bring you up to date on a couple of items of business from the previous shows. You'll remember that in the first couple shows, we bottled a red wine and a white wine. Now, those 2 wine kits are still bubbling away nicely. They're fermenting. They're sitting around, and they're becoming better wine every day. So they're right on the go. We're going to bring those back on a later show. They've been down now. The red wine that we bottled actually a couple of weeks ago now, or not bottled, but put in the carboy. We started it a couple of weeks ago. We went through, and after 7 days, we moved it from the bucket to the carboy.
Right.
And we took a measurement. We took a reading of it, specific gravity, and it came out at 990 according to our log sheet here. So what's going to happen with that? It's been sitting there now for 14 days. It's ready. It's pretty well ready to bottle, or ready to. We're going to do some stuff with it on a later show, and bring it back and bottle it for you.
Yeah, well, what we have to do now, Mike, that wine is ready to stabilize, what we call stabilized. By stabilizing, we mean we're going to add some additive packs to it to prevent any further fermentation from taking place. Also to we're going to add some findings to it to clear it.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll be showing you how to do that on a later show. This has been a real easy product to make, hasn't it? This cooler Quik.
Yeah, they're
Boys,
really easy to do, Mike, and like I say, you know, you need very little equipment to do them with, and take very little time. So you can have some. You can be drinking coolers in 2 weeks.
Now, the same product is available with something called Liquor Quik, or there's a liqueur.
There's a liqueur kit available also made by those guys. They take a little longer to do.
Yeah.
They're about a 4-week project. So.
About a 4-week project, and we're gonna bring one of those on a later show. That's all the time we've got tonight. You can see how simple these coolers are. And they taste great too, especially when you chill them, stick them in the fridge for a while, and they don't take very long to make at all. Next week on the show, we'll be making another batch of wine or beer or cooler or liqueur, something for the home brewer and everyone. Why don't you join us next week on the Brew Club? Till then, so long.